I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee on December 11th, 2019 in the Triton High School Library at 7 p.m. I will begin by, this meeting is being audio and video recorded. I will begin by reading the vision statement. We're a community of learners known for our unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of all students through the adoption of best practices and our active partnership with families and the wider community who are united in supporting the development of engaged, successful, responsible, resilient learners. Students will be well prepared to be ethical, empathetic, and contributing citizens. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of changes tonight and a few things out of order. So we're beginning with this. It's okay, it's not just you. Trust me, there's a lot of stuff that's going on tonight. So we're going to start with our student advisory report because I'm assuming that Kaylee has someplace to go. So I will turn it over to you.
Right. In October, I began to lay the foundation of how the idea of being a Tritonian is beginning to change. This idea has truly been prevalent throughout our halls. The real question, which I'm starting to believe may evidently become a reoccurring topic, is what does this mean for our community? Is it for the better, or are things just simply different from what everyone is used to? On the topic of change, the first quarter is officially over and second quarter is well underway. The last assignments and any missing work have been turned in, grades have been entered, and most interestingly, an odd sense of calm has washed over the student body. Some may say that it is the same as it always is. Students and faculty finally have a sense of who each other are. Everyone is back in the full swing of things after the summer. Expectations have been fully outlined. The test run of first quarter is over, and everyone is either buckling down or beginning to slack off as they always do. However, some beg to differ. It feels as though this year, this transition hasn't been felt as strongly as it was in the past. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm used to how things work in Triton now, but for some reason, my peers and I feel as though that's not quite it. Even upperclassmen have admitted that it doesn't feel like they are working towards the end of each quarter, but instead simply working day to day to further their education. The main point is that it doesn't feel like anyone is in as much of a rush to get out of here anymore. Instead, we're beginning to unify. The month of November is home to some of Triton's most memorable events. Not only do they bring those in each grade closer to the peers in their year, they also bring the student body together as a whole. With friendly competition between all within the school, the faculty and students are brought together in more ways than one. Following beloved tradition, the familiar events such as the can drive, dress-up days, skits, the decorating of the bleachers, athletic competitions, powder puff, hypnotist, and more took place. Both students and teachers raised funds to outdo one another, especially when it came to the senior fundraiser of Pie in the Face. While trace amounts of stress were found in the moment, we all came together to let loose and enjoy the camaraderie found. However, the student body can tell that change is inevitably upon us. So far, everything has been well received, but there is a slight air of caution that can be felt after homecoming. We're all warned of the potential that the well-loved tradition may be drastically altered in future years, and the majority of us don't really wish to see much change in regards to it. No matter what happens, though, we are all looking forward to what is to be found in the new year, just like the new change of a grade other than the seniors winning homecoming this year. We all look forward to new assignments, new shows, new opportunities, new change, and more chances to make new memories that will last our lifetimes. Thank you, and please ask any questions you may have.
All right. Thank you, Kylie. I like that one, Kaylee. Anybody? Questions? Wow. All right. Thank you. Well done. Good luck tonight, wherever you're headed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Oral communications from the public. Seeing none, we will move along. Our student of the month, there was a miscommunication.
Misfire.
Do you want to?
So there's a student athlete who is in the gym practicing currently. Obviously, for a game on Friday night, we're going to do 2 awards in January. So we'll award the December award in January as well as a new student of the month for January. So.
All right. So moving along. Consent agenda. Can I, yep.
So I was going to say, so there's an error in the agenda with minutes. So full disclosure, Maureen's first week on the job, a day and a half we were out. I was out Friday, and so I actually put this agenda together and had her make copies, and I wasn't here Friday. So this is on me, and I actually am looking in the folder, and I have an Annex 2. You can see Annex 2 is here twice, so the Annex 2 finance is in your folder. But we will get you copies of the actual minutes from November 13th. I don't know if we want to scramble and approve those now, or if you want to wait and we'll just approve them in
My preference would be
January.
to wait.
Just approve them in January.
Yes.
I would assume so.
Absolutely fine.
Very good.
So can I get a motion to approve the agenda, or the consent agenda, except for item A? Right, A is the one we're missing?
Yep.
So moved.
Tina's seconding. Second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? All right, unanimous. And I have no remarks tonight, so we'll move right along. New business? All right, seeing none, we are moving quickly to reports and deliberations. This is the MASC 2019 Outstanding School Partners Award. I see all of our PTAs have arrived. And we have Kathleen Kelly here from Mass Association of School Committees. Do you want to speak, and then I'll talk about why they were nominated? Do you want to do that, or we can do it the other way around? Where am I?
Sure. Do you have the plaque?
I have my, what?
The plaque?
Yes, it's back there.
Okay.
I was just looking for my notes. Do you want to grab the mic up there? Oh, no, wrong one. Hang on. There you go. I know.
We have lots of plaques.
Here, I can read mine out real quick if you want. Okay. So the Mass Association of School Committees has a number of awards that they give out. The school committee was pleased to nominate for the Outstanding School Partner Award the 3 elementary school PTAs. This was not a nomination from last year, so from what I'm going to read we were actually in the middle of it at that point. But the PTAs have gone above and beyond last year in supporting experiential social emotional learning in the district. In the past, they functioned separately within their school communities, each with their own culture and priorities, and have been very successful as individual entities that supported each of their schools with events, programming, and donations. In 2018, the 3 PTAs united in a campaign that they dubbed Triton Kind, a random act of kindness campaign. Initially weekly, now monthly, the PTAs take turns creating one simple, easy-to-execute random act of kindness. The PTAs utilize email, Facebook, Twitter, in-school announcements, and school marquees to encourage our entire Triton regional community across all 3 towns to participate in these random acts of kindness using the hashtags TritonKind and Be Your Best Viking. Our community has been sharing their kind stories of donations for food pantries, taping quarters on vending machines, giving unexpected compliments, leaving anonymous notes to brighten a stranger's day, drawing special pictures for our favorite community helpers, picking up litter, chalking inspirational sidewalk messages, volunteering with charities, and surprising coworkers with a coffee or candy. Simply put, sprinkling kindness like confetti. Staff have posted random act of kindness on the walls of their classrooms or integrated random act of kindness projects into their curriculum. It's been such a wonderful ride to watch kindness grow within the districts. The effort that the PTAs have put into taking 3 entirely separate organizations and channeling their creativity and energy into this one campaign is amazing, and their work has benefited everyone in our 3 towns. To quote one of their joint posts, "There are so many benefits as a result of performing kind acts. Kind acts lead to happiness and feelings of belonging. Kind acts reduce bullying and improve friendships. Random acts of kindness is a gift to those who receive, and maybe more so to those who give." For what these 3 amazing organizations have given our community this year, the Triton Regional School Committee asked that the MASC Board of Directors consider the Triton Elementary PTAs for their Outstanding School Partner Award.
Wonderful. And I'm
Do you want
very
to grab that
honored.
mic just so it gets picked up on?
Sure.
Or you can sit, David's got one next to him too that's live, I think.
Aha, now it's green. I'm replacing Glenn Kuchar tonight and Dorothy Presser, both who are involved in other meetings that are occurring. So MASC is proud to present the Outstanding School Partner Award for the contribution to the district that has been meaningful and sustained, and that the PTA is this year's recipient. And I am to present the plaque to you, the chair of the school committee. So on behalf of MASC and the school committee, thank you so much for your work.
I'm in turn going to bestow this on representatives from the three PTAs. So we have Jennifer Rockettenance from the Salisbury Elementary PTA. We have Sarah Spalding from the Pine Grove PTA and Liz Forza from the Newbury Elementary PTA. So I don't know how you guys want to split this between you, but why don't you come up and grab it and we'll take some pictures. It's a beautiful plaque. It is beautiful. And I should say thank you to Kathleen as well for making the trip up here. She came all the way from Cambridge to honor our PTAs. Thank you. Yes. Yes, please. I know. Really? Let's do it over here then, I guess, because that gives us probably the most space. Do you want to? Yeah. Really? You want cupcake? Yeah. You are.
One more. 1, 2, 3.
We do what all the EGA from their awards do?
Yeah, let's try to do all the, yeah. Get all the,
I love the PTAs.
you know I got them.
All right, guys, love you too. All right, come on. I'm sure it's great.
One of those is going to happen.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So thank you all for coming out tonight. It's an honor to honor you, and you absolutely do not have to stay for the business part of the meeting.
It won't be awkward if you leave, I promise. That's right. Catch it live.
All right. I was just going to let them file out.
Just keep going.
They're a lot quieter than the Student of the Month groups.
Seriously.
At least that.
When the friends are like high-fiving on the way
Bye,
out.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So moving on, reports and deliberations. Item B, the District Communications Committee. So you have the meeting notes from November 14th in your packet. The December 5th meeting obviously just happened last Thursday. So I actually missed part of that because of the Pine Grove School concert. So I'm sure if Brian can talk about the beginning, I can talk about the end.
So it was a fairly brief meeting, but we gave an update on the fiscal 21 budget. We gave an update on where we were with the regional agreement amendments. That was the first time we had sat around the table or had an opportunity to sit around the table with a complete clean copy of the regional agreement as edited, and then a newly fully clean red line version that truly reflected every change from a missing period to missing words. So we went through that, and there were no more questions. There were a couple little tweaks in language that were the result of a discussion from the last meeting. No one had any objections to any of that. So we are moving forward with that discussion with the regional agreement. I don't know if you want to share this, but Narissa and I are in the process of reviewing that with the Department of Ed, with both Michelle and Christine Lynch, and we have we'll say a slew of recommendations and questions that literally just came back through Narissa tonight. So neither of us have looked at those, but we still have a pathway forward. One of the things what we needed to find was the methodology we use for assessing required special legislation back in 1993. So the way we do it district-wide requires that you do that on the biennial elections, so every 2 years. So I want to thank Wilma from Salisbury, who was the clerk from, I think she told me, 1986 to 2014, lived through the process. She said, hey, did you check such and such a book, which isn't a book anymore, it's now online. Went online, did a quick search, and lo and behold, found the special legislation, and also there was a folder that she had throughout the entire regionalization process that's still on file. And Mindy, the current clerk, was able to make a copy of that. So I've been finding some history today, or more yesterday, that is just some fascinating stuff. So still on a path forward, but there's definitely going to be some work to do in meeting DESI's requirements and suggestions as far as edits. So that was the bulk of the meeting, and then we spent, actually, I should say the bulk of the meeting was discussing state advocacy, an update on where the Student Opportunity Act landed, and the lack of a windfall for the majority of districts in this area, including Triton, as was falsely reported in the newspaper. So I think that was pretty much the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought this was interesting because Brian was showing me today the draft of the 1993 agreement, which had provisions in it for elections for both if the special legislation passed and if it didn't pass. And if it didn't pass, we would all be serving 6-year terms right now. Yes.
I think that would do a lot for encouraging people to run for school committee.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 years.
Exactly. So, so thank goodness it was passed, and thank you to the Vikes of 1993 for having done their due diligence and getting that done. So we have a fairly long list that came back from DESI this afternoon. I haven't even looked at it. I know there's color coding, apparently. I caught very quickly that there's green, where she's saying that we can condense language and use, just the district in place of Triton Regional School District and things like that. That seemed fairly straightforward, and then a lot of questions about how are you doing this, and do you define this elsewhere, and that type of thing. So we're going to go through those and figure out what our next steps are. Lots of steps, I think so, yes. So just as a heads up, Michelle, when I was speaking with her from DESI on the phone, had actually suggested that we potentially look at scheduling an earlier January DCC if there was sufficient material that we needed to go through as a communications committee. So I think the first thing to do is find out how much of this is substantive, because they really need it back by the end of January to get it through their finalization process so that we can take a final vote to get it to the towns in time for their warrants. So.
That will all be happening concurrently.
Yes.
So the current draft would go after our initial review to the warrant process, and then with only minor tweaks from there, so.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where that's at. Fiscal year 21 budget projections.
Nurse, do we have to report on the new meeting schedule?
Oh, the new meeting schedule. I honestly don't even have it with me. Do you have?
Adding the day?
No, the DCC meeting schedule.
Oh, I do.
Do you have the dates on you? Because I don't.
Yes, I do.
Dina has them.
And they should be they're on the calendar now, too.
I apologize, I haven't done the minutes yet, but what we decided upon was Wednesday, January 29th, which I guess is the one that you're saying might need to be rescheduled?
It would probably be left and another one scheduled
Oh, another
earlier in the
one
month.
added.
Because
Okay.
we need that one for the budget discussions.
Oh, right,
Because
right.
that's right after the governor's budget comes out.
I misunderstood. I thought you were totally rescheduling
Yeah,
that.
no, we're adding more.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Wednesday, January 29th, Thursday, February 27th, Thursday, March 26th, Thursday, April 16th, and Thursday, May 21st.
Thank you. I'm glad you had it with you.
And those are on the school committee calendar now.
Yeah. And we need to get them out by email to the DCC. I was thinking of doing that, and then I saw your email go out with Julie Kelly's paper link and something else, and
Oh, and I was going to add them to that and forgot.
yes, so I'll write myself a note.
Okay.
That those need to go out. Okay. Fiscal year 21 budget projections, Brian?
Yes. So there's not anything new to report in regards to information. Dave Jack has now obviously replaced Michelle. We are starting the interviewing process tomorrow for a new school business administrator, to be determined whether that final candidate is someone that could start early after the new year or would be waiting till July 1st. So that process will be unfolding in a busy season from a budgetary perspective. But as far as the numbers, nothing's changed in regards to the unknowns. Negotiations, we actually had a session on the snow day last week that got canceled, so our next session is next Tuesday. So over the next few sessions, I'm hoping we're at least able to talk about a figure to begin plugging into the budget. Obviously, we will budget steps. Those are contractually required. But as far as COLAs and other discussions, those would obviously have a separate monetary impact. So special education, it continues to get good news and bad news. There's been some move-outs, but there's also been some other kiddos on the radar. So we will see some students aging out at the end of the year and out of districts. Placements that are considerable, costly placements. But then you also know we have a shortfall this year that was made up by one-time funds in the adjusted budget. So all that's coming into place. Dave Jack is quickly getting up to speed. He and Amy Posick met yesterday to start putting information together and making sure that by the time we get into our budget process, we're working with good information. So the one thing I did want to bring up is last year, we'd gone historically 4 days, Monday through Thursday, for presentations in January. We then pared it back. I think the first year only we did 4 years. Then for several years, we did 3 days and moved it away from Monday nights because of selectmen's meetings. So we were meeting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Last year, we pared it back to 2 nights. We took a very much, this is just a one-time, we're just going to not go backwards year. When we did the calendar this year, we forgot to add that Thursday night back. So I'm suggesting, and I don't think there's much of a debate, but just that we would repost and add to the schedule that it's Thursday, January 16th, so that we would do elementary budget presentations on Tuesday the 14th, middle school, high school athletics on Wednesday the 15th, and then all district budget discussions district-wide budget discussions on Thursday the 16th. So I'm assuming that is what everyone was hoping for anyway. It just didn't make it onto the schedule. So we will make that adjustment. But other than that, that's the process is set. Principals are currently working with their school councils to talk about priorities. Actually, meetings happening this week with school councils, so that those are due from the principals the Friday we return from the holiday break. We'll then get those prepared and out to you, delivered by the following Friday, and then the following week is the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday presentations.
Start times, 6?
We've always started at 6. Yeah, so the Tuesday, Wednesday is already posted at 6. We'll just add a Thursday posting at 6. Yep. And then we do expect that the first substantive discussion will be on that Saturday, the 25th of January, I believe, right? Saturday, the 25th is the workshop. We should have the governor's budget by by the 22nd. That's actually the fourth Wednesday. So we should have the governor's budget, and we should also have, Dave Jack is completing, it's hard having two Daves. Dave Jack is completing, Mr. Jack is completing the bus transportation, the bus bid. So that is going, I believe it's going live next week. The pre-bid will be right after the new year, and then we'll be opening bids the week before. So when we will go into that Saturday knowing a figure. That was another one of the big unknowns. We'll go into that Saturday workshop with we won't have signed a contract yet, but with a pretty good sense of what the cost will be. So as always happens this time of year, we continue to get numbers refining, but given the number of unknowns with transportation and special education and contracts this year, still too many to put on paper. We'd be causing either false fear or false hope. So,
Yep. I think it's worth saying, too, we talked about this at the DCC a little bit, that with the Student Opportunity Act, even though our Chapter 70 won't go up significantly, basically any more than it is today, the minimum local contributions, which are step one in our assessment formula, will go up. There's no question about that. The question is, though, will they stay kind of in line with where they're at today, or is there going to be a shift in those increases? So if one of the towns, because they're driven by, basically the foundation budget formula and student enrollment in that, and then property values and incomes, if one town rises significantly, and the other towns rise much less, it could change the way our assessments work, and we could be in just a tough position with putting an undue burden, a huge burden, on one or two towns compared to the other towns. So that's something that we're going to see. It's a reality of what's going to be coming our direction, and we won't know that until the governor's budget either. So that's another thing that we'll have to keep our eye on. So, and I made that, I think, amply clear in the district communication meeting that that's not on us. Like, we have no control over that. It's just going to be what we get handed at that point.
and there have also been some ongoing discussions about enrollment in regards to the numbers that we use to create the budget for the assessments. We do use foundation enrollment, which we don't have published until the governor's budget on that fourth Wednesday, or third Wednesday usually. So I think there are folks who have a hard time understanding that we don't know what those numbers are because they see that as a number that's reflective of students we are seeing in our school. But the reality is any student who is residing in one of our three towns and attending another school through school choice or a charter, those students are counted on that student or on that town's foundation enrollment. So because of that, there's a whole process that Maureen's jumping to right in the middle of where a first round of that has been done, and that's being confirmed. So school choice numbers, we should have those confirmed in the next week or so, at least for a first round. And all of those figures factor into that foundation enrollment. So it's not a figure that we can give. I could give you an accurate count of every student that is attending any one of our schools or any one of our programs, but until we have all those other schools reporting whether they have our students or not, there was I think I mentioned this last month, there's a significant uptick in the number of students on our Choice Out roster that have never set foot in our schools. 20 plus students. So I'm in the process of unpacking that. Literally have never seen this student name or address in any of our databases. So that's a process we're vetting, but that's the process that ultimately feeds to the true foundation figure.
So does that mean, if I understand it correctly, it's like doubly working against us? So it benefits the town that's getting our student that's choicing out in terms of their enrollment numbers?
So a student counts on his or her residence, and then the district, if the student is out, so if a student leaves Triton and goes to Newburyport via choice, they're on Newbury's enrollment.
Right.
So they're on the foundation, but then we get charged the $5,000.
Right, so we're getting screwed over twice is what I'm
No, so we
asking.
get the money for the state on the count, but then we're basically giving it to Newburyport. Yeah, so one's a receive, one's a send.
Right.
So it's in theory, we're getting, because Chapter 70 is enrollment-based, we would get less Chapter 70 if we have less students.
Right.
In our case, not a lot, but, so those students are counted, so we get more state aid, but then because they're choiced out, we're then ultimately sending that money at $5,000
Right.
over to that community.
Right.
So I think there's double risk there, right?
Double risk, yes.
Part of it is
Right, that's what I'm
that
saying.
we're not getting as much as $5,000. So part of that is money, essentially town money, right?
And it looks like our enrollment's declining, whereas whoever's getting that student, that's bumping up their enrollment, so shifting their numbers. So we're getting screwed over twice.
Yes.
That's part of it too. The
Yes.
other problem.
I was seeing it as an offset with the
Yes.
costs, but
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yes, put that way, yes.
The other problem is if all those students are in one town or, two towns, then that's going to throw their numbers off as far as the way assessments are calculated. And we know that just even a small number of students, what was it last year? I think it was 40 down for Raleigh, 40 down for Newbury, and 6 down for Salisbury, right? But that caused, we know what happened with Salisbury's numbers, right? That caused a significant shift when we knew that the rest of it was staying relatively stable.
It's the share. So if we were just talking about ups and downs, but it's because it's the proportion and the piece of the pie that each town owns. When those small numbers, one town could say stay stable, but if the other two towns decrease, they could get a whole other percentage point of an assessment that they're paying for. At one point not too long ago, the first step minimum locals was 4 million, or I'm sorry, the first step amount above the first step, the second step, the amount above minimum was 4.5 million. It was $11.5 million last year. So that's all based on enrollment, much more easy to understand. As Narissa said earlier, when that minimum local starts increasing again, that's the piece we lose control of. So we don't have any say about how that goes up. That's all town data. So if more is being apportioned according to the state, for lack of better terms, we don't have that control then, and it's a lot, there's a lot more opportunities to be double whacked.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of moving pieces this year.
Lots of moving pieces.
Any other questions on the budget projections for Brian? All right, moving along, monthly report of the superintendent of schools.
This too is very brief, so we can start by welcoming Maureen Dunleavy to the table here and as the new executive assistant. And as we said, so unfair that she has to start on a week where there's 1.5 snow days, I'm out one day, and it's an agenda week. One thing I will say, I've had a couple conversations. As far as your packets being delivered to your home, can you email Maureen and tell her where you would like it, whether it's in a storm door, under an overhang, there's a special trap door hidden somewhere behind a clapboard. So if you can just each email her and tell her exactly where to leave it so she knows where to leave it each Friday before the committee meetings, that would be great. Quick update in regards to NEASC, the newer process with this collaborative conference. It's such a better process now. It's focused on the school council's goals and the goals that the school is setting. There was a 2-day collaborative conference. The report, the collaborative conference report and self-study was presented to them. The school identified their strengths, their weaknesses, areas they need to grow. Basically, the visiting committee said, yeah, we agree. We think what you're doing well, we agree you're doing well. The areas that you've identified for improvement, we agree with you, and we think those will have a massive impact. So the next part of the process is that report will get finalized, and that obviously becomes public, and we'll share to you. And then 2 years, it's 2 years, whether that's the fall of '21 or the spring of '22 is when the decennial visit is. So that's the every 10-year visit. So that's when they come back and say, okay, here are the goals you set out. Here, and then Patrick and the school basically present and say, here's what we've done to improve ourselves over the past 2 years, 2.5 years. And then they, again, have another report, and then you keep that cycle going 5 years and then continue that process going. So very positive move forward. This is, again, we had a big step backwards several years ago. We've been kind of in limbo. So it's good to get this process moving forward again. I let you know that we are beginning that process tomorrow for replacing Michelle as a school business administrator. There was not a huge turnout for applicants. That is absolutely the norm, as I've talked to other districts. There's a reason Michelle is in Marblehead right now, because there are folks when they not headhunting, but I mean, it's literally people are stealing from people because there aren't a lot of people out on the street that are interested in doing that job. So those willing, we thank them for that. So we do have some great applicants, some very qualified applicants, and so we will begin that process tomorrow. Deb is representing the committee and the finance subcommittee on that, and Paul Mayette he's a parent and also a Newbury Finance Committee member. So he's the town representative, along with several other district folks that you have listed here. Community update, the outreach update, just a note there about some student athletes, our winter track team serving, trying to keep service as a routine message in everything we're talking about. You might have seen some social media tweets today, or was it a post? I'm not sure what it was, about what's the name of that program? Interview. I think it's INNER View, and it's actually through the grant that Julie Romano spoke about a couple months back, and it's a service platform. So it's social media, but it's all focused on service, and it's moderated, so it's not, you can't post anything. But students can hashtag where they're serving, they categorize it, and we get these dashboards. Was it 110 hours served in the last 2 months, and it categorizes it whether it's fighting hunger or human services. So, so some really neat ways to kind of demystify serving. So this isn't just what you do if you're on National Honor Society, or what you just do if we've talked about a graduation requirement. It's not just something you do for a requirement. It's what you do. If you're a human, you serve. So I'm really pleased with a lot of the efforts that are going on around all of the schools, and so certainly want to keep highlighting those. And then you have on your table tonight, just in the nick of time, they were delivered this afternoon. So you have our second annual report. Again, I had spoken to you several times, and in my goals, the goal is to eventually have it sponsored by someone who would be willing to mail this actual report to every address. But at this point, we have about 300 copies that were printed. These will go in all the schools, in all the town halls, and all the town libraries. Councils on Aging, it's one other place I'm forgetting where we put them, but same as last year. So you'll see these in the offices, in our office. Did I say all the schools? All the school offices. And then there's a postcard that looks like this. It just has a picture of the cover of the annual report, and you'll see that in all your mailboxes, because this card goes to every address. I believe the number is about 10,400 addresses in all of Newbury, Byfield, and Rowley. So every address, commercial, residential, or otherwise, receives that. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Questions for Brian? It's a really quiet committee tonight.
It is. It's very quiet.
All right.
In an empty room.
Can I get a motion to receive and file the report of the Superintendent of Schools, please?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? All right, we have no general action items. So moving on to subcommittee reports, policy and advocacy. Linda?
We didn't meet this month, so we'll be meeting in January.
Okay. I do have a quick, still waiting on the fiscal year 19 supplemental budget bill from the state, hopefully. I know.
Pretty sure the comptroller just swept it all.
No, he did not, actually.
Oh,
He
really?
gave them until tomorrow morning because they're making substantial progress in his estimation. So we'll see what happens.
We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So we'll see what goes through, but still waiting out there. So Finance Subcommittee, Deb?
You have all our regular reports in your packet. Brian mentioned the start of the process in hiring a new school business administrator tomorrow. And our next meeting is next Wednesday.
All right. And I understand that personnel and negotiations is going to be taken on by Dina tonight? Nope, Paul first, okay. Look, can you click your mic on first, please?
Yeah, so I'm just going to start and say that we have been meeting with the
You can lean it back.
TRT.
It'll pick you up from far away, I
My
promise.
first day on the job, so just.
I know, I know. It's been a long time.
Yeah, so we have been meeting with the TRTA. We had a meeting scheduled on either December 3rd or the 5th, and it was canceled due to snow. We're going to be meeting with them next Tuesday in the afternoon to continue discussions. There's a superintendent evaluation modification that Dina and Brian have worked on, so I'm going to flip it over to them. Please.
So in the packet, again, we saw this last month. You've had a month now to review this. If you had any questions or comments, additions to this new evaluation tool that we are proposing that we adopt for this year as a pilot to see how we like it. Mr. Ford?
And just to read it at one time, so this is just a spreadsheet that's showing you the questions and the categorization of the questions. It would be a survey format, an online survey,
Right.
as it was this past year.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this?
Anybody? No, I still think it's a big step forward, so, you know,
We'll take it.
we'll happily take it. So can I get a motion to approve the revised superintendent evaluation tool, now updated to better align with the updated Mass DESI rubric, as a second reading and final approval, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, unanimous vote. Correspondence, and this was my oversight, this did not get included in the packet, but I just wanted to make you aware that Brian and I received a letter from the town of Rowley saying that, so I'll go back real quick. There's been discussion in the building committee about the purchase of a machine to clear sidewalks for Pine Grove School.
So just to be clear, there's been talk about a $50,000 snow blower. It's a tractor, but people keep talking about it as a $50,000 snow blower.
Yes. It was a tractor. The long and short of it is that the town has decided not to purchase a machine through the building project. They instead opted to go back to the highway department and in line with what happens at the other elementary schools, ask the highway department to clear the sidewalks. So basically, points of entrance are our custodial staff. Everything outside that, as far as sidewalks, would be a town employee or contractor that would be clearing, so that no new equipment would be purchased. So I have a copy of the letter here, we can get it out to you, but it simply says that, yes, they agree with that, they understand that that's happening in the other schools, they want to be consistent with the other schools, so therefore the Raleigh Highway Department is going to take on that responsibility. Unfortunately, we found this out, I think, the week before the big snowstorm that came. So they're still working out the kinks over there, but
And I think in full disclosure and fairness, so that the DPW also found out about a week before
Yes.
the first big snowstorm, which this is a very difficult time to secure anyone to do any contract work for snow removal, So I will just say that there was some reports that the superintendent said that it was a complete disaster. It was not a complete disaster. Was it perfect? No. I've actually had some follow-up discussions with lots of folks, I'll just say lots of folks within town, including Patrick Snow, the DPW director. And there's a learning curve. I mean, there's literally, I think quite literally, there's more sidewalks in the new Pine Grove School grounds than there are in the entirety of the rest of Rowley. Not really, but there's a
I got
lot.
clarification on that, actually. So there are more cleared sidewalks. So there's lots of sidewalks in Raleigh. The town only clears, I believe, within the historic district.
Okay.
So that's the limiting factor that makes
Yes.
Pine Grove seem so big compared to
Yes.
what else is in Raleigh. But
Which
yes.
now, if you've been to Pine Grove, literally from the moment you drive in all the way around the building to the back is continuous sidewalk. So it's a work in progress. It's gotten better. I've had lots of follow-up discussions, and I'm confident that every storm, it's just going to get a little better and a little better.
Yes. So that was it for correspondence, although I see Paul has his fantastic new calendar that he got in the mail today, I'm assuming.
Elizabeth
Yes.
Warren.
What is that?
Elizabeth Warren sent
Elizabeth
us
Warren.
calendars.
We all get calendars.
Signed
You all got one and I didn't get one?
Because you weren't elected.
Oh, I got one. I think I got one.
All right. Yes, Paul?
Just get ready to make a motion, that's all.
Okay, all right. Can I wish everybody a
Can I do
happy
that
holiday
again?
first?
Well, happy holiday, everyone. Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, go ahead. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? I have to say it. It's unanimous. Thank you.